Welcome to episode 45 of the official podcast for Guardian 1, a Destiny group dedicated to the prosperity of Guardians everywhere. We broadcast live Thursdays at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 Eastern, right here on twitch.tv/Guardian 1 Network. My name is Remy, and tonight I am joined by River.
What's up, everyone?
Crimson Warlock.
Info dump.
Jez.
Good morning.
And Agrios.
Greetings, Guardians.
We are going to be talking about all things Destiny, but first, housekeeping.
All right, everybody. Thank you for listening in on the podcast, however it is that you choose to listen. Be sure to follow Guardian 1 on Twitter at G1Net. That's G, the number 1, N-E-T. In addition, be sure to check out the Guardian 1 website at guardian1.net, and you can also send us feedback to our email, feedback@guardian1.net. We also have a Budgie.net forums group that's currently at 157 members. So if you want to join, just search for the group name Guardian 1. Guardian 1 has its own clan, so if you want to join the Guardian 1 clan, just select the buttons that say set as PlayStation clan or set as Xbox clan after you join the group. We utilize the forums for comments and feedback, so be sure to join the conversations going on there. Big thank you to all of those currently in the Twitch chat. As Remy said at the top of the podcast, you can watch the show live at twitch.tv/Guardian1 Network. We broadcast every Thursday at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific, and if you can't catch the show live, you can always go to the Guardian 1 YouTube channel at youtube.com/Guardian1 Network. Guardian 1 is a proud member of the Guardian Radio Network, so be sure to check out the Guardian Radio Network website at theguardiansofdestiny.com. There you'll find all the different podcasts as part of the network, including the flagship podcast Guardian Radio. Broadcast every Monday night at 10:30 p.m. Eastern, 7:30 p.m. Pacific on twitch.tv/Guardian Radio, and you can also follow their Twitter account at Guardians of D. That never gets old. And their YouTube channel, youtube.com/Guardian Radio. Other podcasts include Warlock School, TTL Party Chat, Aim Assist Gaming, Robust Radio, and if you're into the Grimoire, you can always listen to the audio version, which is called Ghost and Echoes. And that's it. Let's get this going.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So much to get to, and because it wasn't just presented to us in the form of a Bungie weekly update, this is going to be kind of an unorthodox episode, but just so everybody on the panel knows and anyone listening in the Twitch chat, I've gone into the Vidoc and I've gone in and just placed an amazing amount of marks for different things I picked out just by watching it, and I can go forwards and backwards and frame by frame. So in case anyone has any questions about what's going on in a certain situation, I can show it to you in as detail as possible. But first, I wanted to take a moment to call out a Guardian who went way above and beyond this week, not just as someone who regularly espouses the virtues of Guardians helping Guardians, but as someone who was willing to really dig deep when the chips were down and get to the core of the issues of today's Guardians. And so this week, I don't know if you guys listened to it. I'm certain that you do. This week's episode of Guardian Radio was really awesome. Just so much to talk about, and they just had it all sitting on their plate. And our very own K-Dub was on again. You know, he's had a lot of chance to hang out there and talk, and I always love it. Because he's really on point with many of the topics he brings up. It will be very cool to have him back on the show. But so this really cool thing happened on Guardian Radio, and this was like so many YouTubers basically got, they called in real quick. Like Craig and Bife were at E3 with all of these different people, and the phone was just passed around and everybody said, "What's up?" And then the conversation was winding down, and Deej says this.
So yeah, we're having fun. We're surrounded by some of our favorite people, and they just had a good time, and we let them capture what they played on a laptop, and I'm sure they're going to go home now and edit that stuff together and lay down some self-aggrandizing audio track over what they played and what they saw, and I'm the best, and watch until 4 in the morning, Dado says. Okay,
so far, I'm listening to this, and this is cool, I see where this is going. Deej is winding down the conversation, and, it's going to go back to just, whoever was on Guardian Radio, Bell, Mark, K-Dub, and I don't know that I really caught who that other guy was, just because Sometimes Twitch won't let me find a show that's live right now until it's been on for a couple of minutes. It's really bothersome, and I miss a lot of the intros of these things. So I don't even know who that guy was, but he was cool too. But then just right after this, this happens.
So what can I tell you? We're having.
Deej, I've got a quick question.
Okay, so I've played a ton of video games with K-Dub, and I thought, holy crap, like what is it that he's going to say to Deej? This is K-Dub who's decided to take this opportunity to really punch in and say something, and I was like, okay, well, what is this going to be? What is he going to say? And this is how he starts it off.
This is K-Dub from Guardian 1. Hey,
I was like, oh my god, like he didn't have to say that. He didn't have to say, hey, this is K-Dub from Guardian 1. He could have just went to his question. He could have just said, this is K-Dub. But like right this moment, my heart stops, right? Like Guardian 1, that sounds familiar. So I'm like, now I really, really need to know what he's going to say, but everything's moving in slow motion. And so, 5 minutes later, the audio starts back up again. My heart starts back up, and this is what he says to Deej.
I saw a little interview with you earlier saying that, you're Mr. Warlock and that you might be bringing a little love to the Titans.
Okay. Wow, K-Dub, you're just gonna call out this guy who's done nothing but be a warlock from the very beginning, and I was like, oh my god, like where is this even going? Like what is going to happen next? And this is what happens next. And this is what I'm talking about. Digging deep, like this was so much information packed in just a small amount of time, and it's really revealing. Continuing.
I might, dude. The Titan. Check out the new Titan armor. It looks like an M1 Abrams tank. And for the first time ever, the Titans don't have to commit themselves to the battle. You don't have to stand toe to toe, hand to hand with your opponents. I can fire up those hammers and I can just throw them at fortified enemy positions over and over and over again. So
Thor.
I've always been a support player.
Deej wants to be Thor.
Awesome.
I want to be Thor, or I want to be Robin Hood. But the Void Bow looks awesome. The solar hammers look. The Hammer of Souls looks awesome. So I'm having a crisis of faith. I'll always be a warlock, but I might just have.
He might just have to be a Titan. I don't know why it cut off right there. That's strange. But this is huge, I feel. Deej is one of those people who's like, I'm a warlock. Boom, that's it. He doesn't want any part of Titans. He doesn't want any part of Hunters. And he threw a little bit of love to the Hunters there. But seriously, I mean, this was huge in my mind. And to get this reaction, what a great question. And I'm certain that he wanted to talk about that, like the way Deej opened up. I thought that was really, really awesome. That was really great. So shout out to you, K-Dub, for really, really getting to the nitty gritty, sticking it to Deej and saying, "Hey, man, I heard you might be coming over to the Titan side." That's it. That's it. What I wanted to say about that. Thank you very much, K-Dub, for representing the group. Also representing yourself very well. And seriously, getting down to the nitty gritty. He called out Deej on his warlock love. So kick ass. Right on. So I don't even know where to go from here. I guess we just kick it to Agrios and hope that he's got some kind of. I don't even know. There's just so much to talk about. We could just start anywhere and probably work our way to all of these things. So kick it off.
That's pretty much what we're going to do.
Let's do it.
We're going to start anywhere and just dig in.
Perfect.
Start off with, let's just talk about the game that we're already playing. We had an update hit earlier this week. First off, they made a change to how some perks worked. There is for those of you who may not have been familiar, there was a bit of an exploit going on with the Gunslinger Hunters. The Arcleophage Symbiote Exotic Helmet has a perk on it called Ashes to Assets. This perk can also be found on legendary helmets and legendary gauntlets. And these perks could stack. You could wear more than one of them. And when coupled with Quintessence Transfer and the scatter grenade. It wasn't called scatter grenade. I don't think it's something with the hunter, the one that breaks into all the pieces.
Swarm.
It would read each one of those pieces of the grenade as its own grenade for the sake of giving you the ashes to assets perk bonus, which was increased super energy from grenade kills. So all of these pieces of the grenade will all go into one body and give you full super practically right off the bat. So you could just super grenade kill basically over and over again. This could be done in PvP. So Bungie was on top of things and patched that right away. It was a really quick turnover from this becoming popular in the community to them getting it taken out. I was impressed on that. Did any of you guys fall victim to this while it was available?
The first time I heard about it was from you, and it sounded awesome. And now you're saying it's gone.
It's gone.
Well, so long.
Yeah, that's the first I've ever heard of it. So
It was quite an exploit. The people who got it working well would just obviously just mow over people in PvP. They basically had unlimited Golden Gun. They just had to keep killing someone with a grenade in between Golden Gun blast, and that was about it.
Well, it sounds
I never
sounds
seen
like it
anyone
was
have it.
excellent.
I was tempted to
We
use it in
also,
PvE, but no.
They also made some major changes to the Prison of Elders. They fixed a bug where players cannot pick up a quest from Varix to continue the Elder Cipher chain. And they also adjusted the difficulty of the level 35 Skullus challenge mode. Now, we heard them talk about this in a previous update, and this was a really quick turnaround to them changing the encounter. Burn skulls are now replaced by non-lethal elemental by non-elemental skulls. And Skullus' health was reduced from 27,000 to 15,000 to compensate for the lack of burn skulls. The reinforcement spawns are now based on Skullus' health instead of a timer.
That works for me.
Have you guys had a chance to tackle the new Skullus yet? Anybody?
yeah, I actually did it Monday night after the patch came out, and so there wasn't any elemental skulls on him, and it was probably some of the most difficult but most fun 13 minutes of Destiny I've played with some buddies. So it was great. Really fun encounter.
We lost
I
River.
enjoy that it forces people to use the mechanics of the fight, and I found it quite amusing that when you were trying to do the fight the right way, it became very quickly apparent that there's trouble when you are immune to the taint that Skullus gives you. When you're immune to taking that taint and you're standing next to someone with the taint, you can't reload your weapons. Well, it just became a thing, like a Reddit post and stuff blowing up this week about how this is a really annoying bug. And I found it interesting is since they patched Skullus now, everyone actually has to go out and beat him the way that they intended, sort of, using all the mechanics throughout the fight rather than just 3 Gallowhorns and burn to drop him super quick. So now that this bug has become an issue now, even though it's been present since the very first Skullus battle ever occurred.
Crazy.
Yeah, I can, I guess, kind of see where people are annoyed with it, but so move 2 more inches over or jump and reload that way is kind of my thought of a workaround for that until they decide if that's really something they care to fix or not. But at the same time, it's just like in the Ward of Crota raid, if you were close to someone who had the chalice, you'd take the chalice instead of reloading, and that. I don't see it as much of an issue as, I guess, maybe it's getting a voice. Like, to me, that seems like a really small issue to just move over a tad bit more and then reload.
So I know, I think part of the problem here is that you're forced to hide in such tighter confines, to take cover in tighter confines with your group at times. And sometimes you're, say, trying to, pound Skullus with Gallowhorn Blast. I know there was a kind of a clutch moment or two where I had fired off one of my shots and wanted to go for another 2-shot burst and wanted to reload my Gallowhorn, but I had to completely walk out of cover to start my reload animation on the Gallowhorn, or I would have had to just jump up and shoot the other 1 shot and wasted the time not getting to shoot the second shot. So there's a couple issues like that it can cause, but it's definitely workaroundable. I just found it interesting that it was brought to light just now, since the new mechanics that forced people to actually fight Skullus instead of just burn them down in the beginning.
You think that would have popped up during like the first Void Burn week or something, because that fight was much longer than the Solar or Arcborn fights for the most part.
There you have it. I've never seen Skolas. I don't think I've ever seen Skolas.
I'll have to get you in there sometime. But
Right.
I noticed the issue a while ago, but I don't think we group up that tightly when we do it. Like, we're not all in that one area. Generally, if you just pass off the thing, I go somewhere else. Usually because mines might be coming up. So I seen the issue, but I could easily just go in a different direction, not out of cover. And with the ability to clear the ads without them respawning in a matter of time, it should be less of an issue if you just kind of take your time.
There
Like
it is.
it shouldn't be a rush with Yalhorn. And
Well, the whole fight really doesn't need to be rushed. Like,
well,
as
it
long
used
as you
to be.
take, yes, it used to be, but now if you take your time, the fight is very, very doable, and you focus on a few ads to give you some breathing room, and then it's pretty manageable after that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. That's what the new changes I really like about them.
Well, awesome. Moving on.
So before we dig into the next big info dump here, there's something I became aware of this week that I think is a pretty big SGA for everyone. If you're interested in getting older weapons, as in pre-Dark Below weapons or Dark Below edition weapons, or armor for that matter, you can go run the appropriate strike playlist that was released during that particular DLC, and the engrams you get from that strike will produce items from that era. So if you want Dark Below items, run Rock Strikes. If you want original items, run Tiger Strikes.
This is crazy talk. This is crazy talk. And if this is true, this has been tested and this is totally known?
Yeah, from what I can tell, I've just started doing it myself, but I know the blue engrams that I've gotten doing it myself. I haven't got any legendaries yet, but the blue ones that I've got so far, when I go to the Cryptarch, he actually decrypts those in a different category.
Oh, I've actually noticed that. I noticed that when I was first making the transition from the Dark Below, from the engrams that I already had. You're totally right. There is another category for those. Interesting, so interesting. I'm wondering if it's the same ratio as well. Like they started upping the ratio that you might get some cool stuff versus just here's some blue engrams.
It sounds like they didn't update the loot tables, so I doubt any percentages changed at all. They just kept all those loot tables the same, and so I mean, just like with the Gorgon chest and killing Erut in Crota. Those loot tables are locked, and they haven't updated those, and it doesn't.
Well, that's awesome. That is super good news, and definitely excellent. I definitely want to go back and try and get some of those older ones. I mean, if this works out to where the legendaries dropped from those are actually those older ones, this is a way that you can get in touch with. What I really want is that 3 little words from the Dark Below section.
I love you.
Well, you have to mean them. It's not enough to say it.
Fair enough.
But yeah, this is excellent. Have anyone here had any experience with this? Did you know about this prior to this?
About Ingram's getting separate whatchamacalls?
Well, just from you being able to run those older strike lists and having those rewards be from that time period. I just figured that the whole thing updated. Are you interested at all in some older weapons?
I might have, I guess, since I've been running my Titan and my Warlock recently, but nothing was like, oh my gosh, I got Shadow Price. It wasn't anything like that.
Got it. Got it. Yeah, I'm lucky that I got a shadow price on each console, and I love them both for their own uniqueness.
I mean, I've accidentally run them, but I've never gotten any purple engrams from it, so I haven't really noticed.
Got it. Wouldn't it be crazy if there was no purple engrams from those things? I bet Reddit would be able to tell us.
Well, I have to imagine that they drop randomly like every other thing.
Oh yeah, I could see. that.
Unless it's only the ones that you get at the end screen, which would be bad.
No, I believe it's any earned throughout it, but I'm not 100. I'd have to go re-reference my material on that.
I would probably agree that it'd be anything you pick up within the strike, because the strikes themselves still have the loot tables set in them. So probably anything you pick up will be of that era of the game.
Well,
Engrams that enemies drop will be old engrams.
something interesting that people that were using Destiny Item Manager when this expansion launched is that they started to notice that the ones that they couldn't decrypt had a little symbol next to them, like the 2 for the expansion 2. So the problem though that I see with that though is the earlier ones didn't have any symbol at all. Like they weren't flagged as dark below, they were just in engram shape. I don't know if you remember that or if you use Destiny Item Manager.
You know what? I didn't know where I was going to fit this into the conversation, but I wanted to shout this out to everybody right now. Be careful out there, because I tell you what, I was out looking for those tracer shanks in the breach, and I shot one of them, and one of them dropped a purple engram, and I thought, oh my god, this is going to be amazing. What a lucky day. And so I worked my way over there, and I just took my time. Like it's such a sweet feeling, like seeing that purple engram on the ground. What am I going to get? Is this some kind of weapon? Is it a primary? Like that would be awesome. Is it? I'll even take a secondary or a heavy or a special, anything. And yes, the Legend Blue. It was a token of identity. Tokens of identity are dropping as purple engrams, and this is BS. This is BS. I was so furious. Was it beyond furious? They need to take that out of there. I've already got like 15 of those. I'm not even level 3 for the for barracks yet.
You can discard them to gain House of Judgment rep.
How much?
10.
That's it. So so I can go through an entire section of this Prison of Elders, or I can break it down for 10 rep. This is BS. This is BS.
You're underselling it. You're underselling it. To the Nightfall, they're worth 12.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, you've got 15. That's 150 reps without Nightfall. So I mean that is technically like a 32 run through.
And these things fall like water, so.
Yeah.
I'm just so I just was so like it was a bait and switch, like I just felt so used. Like why'd I even go over there and get it? Like this is BS. They really need to take that out of the loot table, or just have it pop up in your inventory like the the other things. All of the consumables and that Husk of the Pit. Like the Husk of the Pit doesn't drop as a white engram or a purple engram.
It's a triangle when it drops, actually.
Is it?
Yep.
Yep.
I didn't think it dropped. I thought it just always got put right into your inventory.
Right, it just
I think
gets put right into your
depends
inventory.
on proximity. I think you pick those things up much closer, and most often, I think there's 2 different ways that it'll do it. Sometimes it'll put it right in your inventory, and sometimes it'll just drop it on the ground. But you're close enough that it's gonna go right into your inventory anyways. So most often you just don't notice that it's dropping something. Like I've never seen it drop an engram that turned out to be a token of flight. It's always straight into my inventory.
Point.
Right. That's what I don't know. It was just so infuriating. Just
See,
so infuriating.
with all your purples and all your blues, just don't worry about it. Your thing will catch them. Your postmaster.
I know, but it was purple, and I can't just like I want to be able to do that. Like I remember reading, someone was like, "Oh, just fill up everything you have, and then everything's just going to go to the postmaster. It'll be cool." And I thought, I just don't want to play that game with purples. Like, what if it doesn't? You know, there is no recourse there. I left it on that planet, and it's just still sitting there. You know, so I have to pick up purples when I see them. I will do it for blues. But purples, I have to pick them up. I have to know that they're safe and with me, and that they're a freaking token of flight, a token of identity. What the hell, man? All right,
You know,
Like,
I'm really hoping that one of these expansions will get golden grams. Like, that's really what I would love to see, is the golden engram drop.
yeah, golden grams sound delicious. I haven't had some of that in a long time.
Golden
Good
grams.
product placement.
Golden grams are good.
You know,
I'll
speaking of
take that one.
purples,
I own the vanilla icebreaker. I'll take
I
that
was
one.
just gonna say, Crimson's the king of that.
speaking of purples, that void bow is pretty sweet.
Right?
I mean,
That void bow is super sweet. Did you know that it cancels out supers if you haven't done them already?
yeah.
Cancels out
Well, it
supers if you
stops-
haven't done them already.
Yeah.
It
So, like,
stops,
No, like, if you're trying to do
blade
it,
dancers in their tracks.
it freezes blade dancers in their tracks, but there's a video clip, and I could pull it up right now if you guys want to see it, where this Titan's coming around the corner and his super is ready to go, and he starts throwing down his Ward of Dawn, and in mid animation it stops it, like he does, and then it took out half of his superpower.
So it's kind of like that Titan grenade.
Yeah, it's exactly like the Titan grenade that no one uses, even though they should.
I've
I
run into
always
that
have-
Titan grenade one time, and I had no idea what the hell happened to me.
Which one
'Cause
is it for the people listening at home, and also me?
Suppression.
Suppression grenade.
Suppression.
I literally was putting out my golden gun. I was in mid animation. That grenade hit me. I had no idea what the hell happened to me. I lost all my superpower. I was so mad. I was like, oh, that's got to be a glitch or something. Nope. Found out a couple days later. That's a standard grenade for a Titan.
You know what I'm kind of curious to see, if like you kill a bunch of warlocks in like Trials of Osiris, and at the end they all pop up. If you shoot a bow in the middle of them, do they all just fall back down?
That'd be awesome.
No.
Imagine if they alive and just lose all their super ability.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because
I
coming like the life already happened. They're not sustaining life because their super's still active.
Yeah, but if they're mid animation, they might not be alive.
No,
yet.
once you're up, man.
Well,
See,
you
I
could
think
also.
you have
you'd
to
well,
also
have
it might
just-
the bow to be
like
a- So I'm saying you're already alive if it can hit you.
maybe it'd be more interesting if you could shoot it in all the dead bodies and it links all the dead bodies together, and then they just can't do anything.
That would be cool too.
All right, where are we
We'll
going?
have to suppress dead warlock sometime just to test it out.
That would be so awesome. Can you imagine the counter timing down in some kind of Trials of Osiris, and you peppering the area with that, and then them like going no. You can
while
hear
we're
their
talking-
screams.
Speaking of no, I think my warlock's going to the dark side in the next expansion.
I don't know what that means.
The dark side, man. Freaking.
Lightning from the finger.
Lightning.
Yeah.
Oh,
Come on.
Emperor
He didn't-
Palpatine.
I figured that's what he was talking about, but the way he said it made it sound like he was ditching him, like he was gonna, put him in a burlap sack and throw him in the river. Like, I think my warlock's going dark on this next expansion, or going to the dark side. Yeah, I guess I should have gotten that. Anyway,
So
pretty-
I know the bow holding people in place, but do you think it's actually going? So it stops the supers. Do you think it has full out suppression effect then? Because something like, for instance, the suppression grenade from the Titan right now, if you hit a wizard with that, the wizard's completely useless. The only thing he can do is float around. He can no longer shoot or anything. So-
Well, the tethering does stop movement, or hinders it at least.
That's
Do you
right.
think it would prevent wizards from being able to shoot altogether, like the suppression grenade does?
I would
Yeah.
think so.
It does. It says that it silences enemies, and the firing of a wizard is considered like a
Ability.
spell. Yeah, it's like a spell.
Interesting. All right, so
It won't stop your
E3
boomers
happened.
though.
There's this thing called E3. It happened, and we got a neat new trailer during the Sony press conference followed up by we got a Viadoc and all kinds of interviews and way more information than I thought they were going to dump on us at this point in time. How about what you guys think about what we got so far?
Yeah, I saw some people talking about, the House of Wolves didn't get much support before they started talking about this other stuff. But I feel like the only reason that happened was because they had this really golden opportunity to lay out in front of people what's coming down the road. There's going to be a ton of changes in between then and now, and they probably didn't want to disclose all of this. But I think that in order to make a good E3 presentation, I mean, can you imagine if all they did was talk about House of Wolves? Like, oh, go there now. You've already done all of your stuff with Varix and buy 15 different. Yeah. I think that what they really needed to do was to wow people, to get people excited for the game. People who might already be done completely with Destiny, like they've done everything. House of Wolves was cool. Trials of Osiris was cool. Here's what's coming next. So yeah, that's why I think that they spilled so much. That's why I think that this is what we got from E3. They needed to make a big splash. Like, is there another thing in between then and now? Gamescom, that's in between then and now?
There's something crazy happening around July 7th.
Bungie Day.
Yeah. They would have had a lot of eyes then too.
It's also RTX coming up in August.
And then PAX Prime at the end of August.
Mm-hmm.
But that would be way too close to
way too late.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I wanted to say that. I want to ask Crimson. Crimson, did you not look at any of the articles before E3?
No, I didn't. I didn't know a single thing about the Taken King until E3.
I wish I would have done the same. Because whenever that trailer came out, I was like, man, that Kotaku article was pretty much spot on, and I knew all this crap beforehand. Should have done what Crimson did.
It was great to I guess be amazed at everything. I mean, yeah, I figured the subclasses and everything that was talked about, but everything else, I don't know what else I was expecting other than like the kind of info that we had of, we're going to get a raid, we're going to get a couple strikes, we're going to get a lot of story and a new area to explore and do patrols on and stuff. But as soon as that reveal trailer came out and then the Vidoc, I was just like, my jaw was on the floor for a day, I think. It was just like, when is it, September? Can I just jump 15th, to September, right? Please?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like it was just great. I mean, it makes me almost sad that I have to play House of Wolves for another couple of months. Like, I just want to jump into that new content. It's like there's so much waiting for us, and I'm so excited. Like, honestly, for me, I think one of the best things that I heard we all knew about the subclasses, but hearing that they're going to be individual quests for your Guardian class is really just like, that makes me feel that much more special of my class.
So on Guardian Radio, so that K-Dub thing happened, and that was awesome. But Bell Bunny mentioned when this came up and they were talking about this, she said, are we going to have to go into the past to retrieve these? And so this is something that I've always been very interested in, is going back and visiting another age, and this gives them the perfect opportunity to do that. We are going to a specific point in time where this is the last known person who can do this, or whatever this is. Anybody else think that this is legitimate or is interested in this storyline?
Oh, it's going to be interesting.
It's inevitable that we're going to deal with time jumping at some point. I mean, the Vex are completely based around that. So as far as that goes, I think it's inevitable. Are we going to experience that right this second? I don't know.
What would be cool is if we saw people in the wild using things that we don't have access to yet. Like, can you imagine if you hadn't heard anything about this and you were out on a patrol mission and then you just saw, this Titan pull out a hammer? Like, could you imagine what that would do to your brain?
No, here this would be the real crazy mind, is if you started this quest and you're on your Titan, you're walking through, and all of a sudden there's a guardian that looks exactly like you running around with a solar hammer, and he's running the opposite way. It's like, oh, wow.
That would be funny.
It's
If
like they just clone you and make him run in the other direction and disappear. It's like, oh, okay.
that, you know what? That's kind of what I thought might happen. Like, they were talking about special people will be visiting the tower, and I realize now that what they're talking about is what they were talking about at the time was people like Zur, people like Eris, people like when Petrovens showed up. Like I realize that's what they're talking about now, but what I thought they were talking about was like live people. Snoop Dogg comes into the studio and they kid him out with some really sweet stuff, and then he goes there and he accepts somebody's mission, like he takes some people through a strike or something. This is kind of what I thought was going to happen, like guest celebrity guardians playing the game with people, and whoever is in that tower, boom, there it is. Like, I've jumped into Deej's tower so many times and just there he is while I'm trying to go about my day. There's Deej BNG, and it's distracting, but it's distracting in an awesome way. Like,
just because of your Seattle-ness.
Right? Exactly.
Right.
Like, we're on that same server, and that's so cool. That is so cool. But yeah, what were we talking about? Powers. Retrieving powers.
New stuff.
Moving on, Agrios. Continue.
Okay. So we've been talking about bits and pieces here, but here's what we got from, in a nutshell, from the Vidoc and the information they released so far. Big thanks to the folks on Reddit and the guys over at Planet Destiny for compiling lots of info from all this for me.
Do you want to know what I learned from the Vidoc?
Yes, give it to us.
Luke Smith wants an ass hat.
Yes.
You know what? I think that's more important than finding out that Luke Smith is an asshat. Like.
Friggin' Hot Cup of Joe's got that sweet picture out on Reddit. I don't know if you guys seen that. He's so talented.
Right, that was so funny. I wanted to read
Awesome.
it, but I couldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's cool, and I liked it, but it was ridiculous. Like, I wish I could have been there when those guys found that out. Like, I could imagine that was one of those moments where, Deej, who is always actively interacting with Twitter and whatnot, like, I can see him seeing that and then just going, "Oh my God, where's Luke? Like, I got to find him right now. Like, this is going to be hilarious."
Carry on, Agrios, please.
Okay. The Taken King begins with your Guardian being tasked to investigate a distress signal on Phobos, one of the moons of Mars. Apparently, the Vanguard is concerned that the Cabal are acting as an invading force, moving aggressively to further their own goals. However, you quickly discover upon your discovery of the distress signal that it's the Cabal themselves who are under attack. A new type of enemy, the Taken, and their master Oryx himself, are assaulting you. He knows it's you who killed his son. Suddenly, your goal is no longer to stop the Cabal, but to fend off the aggressive and terrifying Taken in order to report the danger to the Vanguard. The Taken are grotesque permutations of other foes who have been ripped out of our dimension, infused with Oryx's malice and will, and they will apparently be much more difficult and alien than the current lineup. Oryx's ability to ignore interdimensional laws will mean that they can port in at any moment to give what may have been an otherwise simple encounter a sense of urgency and real threat. New locations include Oryx's very own Dreadnought, a massive castle in the sky, as they describe it, as well as Phobos, the location of one of the current PvP maps. Our Guardians are going to need to power up. Weaving the expansion of the classes into the lore, Bungie will make rediscovering some of the lost arts part of the story. After being outmatched and outgunned on Phobos, it's clear that getting in touch with our arcane roots is going to be necessary to have all the tools to beat Oryx once and for all. And that brings us to our classes. Now, we talked about the Night Stalker already. Remy, did you have those images?
Yep, I'm bringing them up right now.
Okay, let's just go. We already talked about the Night Stalker, so let's start there.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
So they've brought up a lot of there's some similarities between the classes. Some of the jumps have carried over, some of the grenades have carried over, but each class has at least one new grenade, and it's worth noting that these are all taken from the current build that was being used at E3. And Bungie's noted several times, even going so far as to saying it was a bad build and that things are subject to change. So this all needs to be taken with a grain of salt. Which subclass are you guys most excited to tackle?
Night Stalker.
Night Stalker.
Why?
Because I'm a hunter.
PvE. And because I like PvE. And hunters badly need a PvE class.
And I feel like everybody else needs my help instead of me dominating.
I don't know.
Fine, I'll let you get the kills.
So this is your big question, River. Like is that your role? Like I know that in many MMOs, there's a person who just runs out there and just takes massive damage while the rest of the people do massive damage. What if you taking on this supportive role means that you guys are no longer going to win?
It doesn't, because I've been experimenting with the Titan and Warlock classes recently, especially the Titan, because I'm trying to get them all leveled up and stuff. And I've had to change my playstyle a little bit as far as trying not to run out like I would usually do. But I have chosen to put on more of a support role whenever I go PvP, just to kind of get a taste for it. And I'm really excited to try out this Night Stalker so that I can do more of that, and hopefully I can elevate some other folks so that they can get the spotlight. That's what I want to do.
Yeah, I find oftentimes that everything works out best for the team when I sit back and help people shoot at things. Like I'll watch all these dudes just rush in every single direction, and I'll just pick the one dude who didn't have anybody go with them, and I'll cover him and shoot what he's shooting at, and that's a very rewarding thing. And this Night Stalker, really, I'm excited to do all of them. Like I'm very good about switching over to weapons and gear that I haven't leveled before I turn in bounties. And one of the things that I did in the very beginning was always switching to whatever the other class was. And having this third class is going to be an insanely cool. Like I'm going to have a place to put more experience. How far are you, River, with upgrading all of your characters?
I just maxed out Striker. What was the other Titan Void one? What's that one called? Defender?
Defense.
Yeah.
I'm very close to getting Defender all the way maxed out, and my baby Warlock is still a bit.
Got it. Okay, so it looks like for this Night Stalker, there's something called a Void Wall Grenade. Grenade explosion creates a horizontal wall of burning void light. That sounds really cool. That sounds like one of those. I'm going to close off this doorway. You're not going to come through this doorway.
Try hallway. That thing has such a long range to it. It's amazing.
Is it?
I watched some of the videos they released on it, and that thing, you throw it down and it just goes.
Okay,
Nice.
So what about this Sunbreaker Thermite Grenade? Grenade explosion sends a line of fire towards your target. Is this similar in the sense that if you were to go perpendicular to a doorway, that it would do the same thing? Because it's not the same wording. This straight says
think of
wall
a
of burning void
shockwave.
light.
It's a solar
think
shockwave.
like,
What's
yeah,
that?
it heat seeks your opponent, doesn't it? Like it's sort of, I think, along the lines of like the arc bolt or like the flame bolt grenade, where it's going to do a quick scan, so to speak, and maybe find a target and shoot a wall line toward that target. If I understood it correctly,
It tracks a little bit, but it looks more like the shockwave animation. Like
Right.
it'll follow a target, but it's only on the ground. It won't like follow anything up into this air.
Yeah, it's like a ground-based axiom bolt, sort of, if I understood it right.
Mhm. But it definitely looks much more like an arc shockwave than anything else.
Right.
Just red in color.
So some things I wanted to point out on the Night Stalker one there. There's it describes each of the different types of different ways to use your super ability, but then all the way over on the far side there's a new shade step. Gain and evade on O, O. So apparently there's a new way to dodge built into the Night Stalker. You can roll to the side, it appears.
That's cool.
I hadn't even seen that. I hadn't had time to really delve in and try to look for that, because I hear it's in there somewhere, right?
Yeah, there's actually a video of a hunter utilizing that at one point.
Have you seen that, River?
I haven't. I mean, I've seen all the videos, but I hadn't specifically seen that just yet.
I'm going to put it up on the screen for people can see.
So what were you going to say about that, Agrios?
I was just pointing out that it was interesting that they have an evade maneuver like that. I know I've liked to make use of that type of fighting in other games, and I think it really, really suits the hunter specifically. I mean, especially a support-based hunter.
Mm-hmm.
Remy, I think you're really going to like the Night Stalker. You were just talking the other day about how you like to go invisible and play the invisible hunter medic, and if you get Kepri's Sting, you could use that with this Night Stalker and still be able to crouch invisibility as well as all the support abilities of the Night Stalker.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's pretty exciting. Yeah, I'm a big fan of. I've always wanted to dodge on this. Like, this is something that's how sweet to be able to dodge. And I haven't had a chance to look into this yet either. You actually go invisible while you dodge.
Well, I think that's just the evading part. Like, those are the invincibility frames when you're that
right.
Purple.
Got it.
Kind of like a blink, maybe?
It's kind of like a blink, except you're
like
actually
a pseudo blink.
Like, you can actually die when blinking. It's just really hard to hit.
I've had it happen to me before.
To be honest, I think
sweet.
it's just a passive aggressive way to stop teabagging.
I'm liking that. It reminds me of the elites and pretty much name your Halo.
So do we want to dissect the super and melees on each of these? You want me to break
depends on
them
how
down?
long that's really going to take.
Yeah.
Well, we don't
that's
have
why I'm
a
asking
weekly
you guys. What do you
update.
think? I was
Well,
going to, but then I figured I'll run it by you.
Well,
I think
tell everybody what they are.
I think a better way to do it is to
Read them all.
kind of go around and say what we would do, rather than reading everything off. Because we can link dump the entire thing for other people to read.
Yeah, we're
But-
gonna have the links to all of this in the description of however you're watching this.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll throw it in the chat too. But we can just kind of go over what we really like, kind of things that stand out to us.
Okay, so this Keen Scout, it's a passive on the Night Stalker. And again, all of this is subject to change. Like, Bungie has plenty of time in between then and now to make these things better or worse. But Keen Scout says sneak faster, gain enhanced motion tracker, and mark all targets you damage. Allies get waypoints to marks. That's crazy. That's a ton of stuff. But that's on the same list as this shade step, the gain and evade on double tapping the circle. And also the third one is rapid shot. After firing your initial shadow shot arrow, you may fire up to 2 explosive arrows in quick succession. So this is a huge choice here. You know, it's not like the difference between probably the hardest choice I've had to make so far in this passive 2 column is whether I want a second grenade or whether I want to float in the air when I go ADS as a warlock. Because I really enjoy doing that, and now that there's that whole, Guardians do more damage while in the air. You know, that helps a lot to get down shots. Like, I can get a I can get a sniper rifle shot off in the air, no problem. Like I'm certain people can do it normally, but with Angel of Light, it's just I slow down, and it's really awesome. All right, so River, which one of these would you take?
Right off the bat, I'd probably try to take Shade Step because I really want to have that evade. I am noticing that if you use Keen Scout, that's probably going to go pretty well with the, what is that, inextricable? Pardon me for my English. but it looks like if you're able to mark some opponents, you'll probably want to mark the one person that whenever you do damage to that person, it's going to do a portion of that damage to other opponents that are tethered to them.
Well, I think the way that that's worded, it's actually going to do damage to all of them. So if everyone picks a different target, you'd be doing the most damage possible.
Right. So the idea, I think, if I understand it correctly, you could, for instance, shoot a boss, and it could hit the boss and a bunch of minions around, and you could all just keep pumping rounds into the boss, and it would do duplicate damage to all his minions that are tethered to him at the same time.
Hey, that'll work too.
But like in PvP, you'd much rather want the damage to be kind of spread out if you want to kill them all at once. Like if you just focus one target down, you're going to do minimal damage to the other two. But if they're already slow and you've got the advantage on them, you can all kind of pick them off even faster.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, so let's just read these off real quick so that everyone knows where we're on. Okay, so just straight up Shadow Shot is tether a large group of foes to avoid anchor, slowing and silencing them for your fire team. That's really awesome, and seeing it work, like in the video, it's how cool. Inextricable, like River was saying, a portion of damage taken by one tethered target is passed to all other tethered targets. The next upgrade to that is Wait for It. Shadow Shot creates a proximity tether that triggers when targets are close. That is awesome. That is awesome, like a spider web. And then the last one is Gloam Ranger. Unite your allies, reduces incoming damage and buffs outgoing damage for your tethered fire team. It says for your tethered fire team. So is this something that you can activate while having been tethered? Like instead of just being some kind of pinata out on the battlefield?
No, I think you actually shoot a clump of your teammates with it, and it's like they have Blessing and Weapons of Light on them at the same time.
Man, is that cool?
But I think it's still going to slow you down. So I think it depends on the situation.
Well, if you actually want to use that, break your tether.
Well, but it's also going to reduce your incoming damage, or it's also going to lose the buffs that you get from it. So it's kind of like you want to stay together, and really it'd be great for those points, like in Atheon when you're all crouched under the bubble, type of thing, and then just hope it goes away before Atheon takes your shield away, because that would be bad.
Crazy.
Not like it's going to matter whenever you're like level 40 or level 50 on a Vault of Glass run. Yeah,
man, that's going to be awesome. I can't wait to solo Atheon. I'm going to get my Mythoclast one way or another. Okay, going into melee, Smoke. Throw smoke to slow and disorient those within its cloud. This is cool. This is another...
That I'm excited about.
You're excited about this one?
Yeah, I really like this. This all sounds awesome to me.
Okay, so the 3 upgrades to Smoke is Smog. Significantly increase the size of Smoke, allowing you to affect multiple targets. Envenomed adds a toxin that suffocates enemies within Smoke. And Snare allows smoke to stick to surfaces, detonating when enemies are near. This is another one of those web ones where you can just set it up and wait. These ones I think are the most exciting to me. The ones where you can put it out beforehand. You see that radar showing up, and then you're giving these people this choice to either go back the way they came, take an alternate route, or deal with what you've got here. River, which one are you most excited about?
I'd probably use Snare. a lot because I really like to set traps.
Yeah, traps are awesome.
Mhm.
What I find really interesting is that this is the only lingering, as far as I know, melee. Like, this is the only melee that has an after effect. That
Interesting.
stays.
One, not like
Well,
a fire
what
burn.
about like Scorch or something that?
Yeah.
Well, those burn within an enemy, but this, I feel like, you run around the corner and pop up, the smog. If there's more than one enemy coming at you around that corner, that gives you, option to run.
I think I heard somewhere that like once it's out, it doesn't do the disorient for people that walk through it. It's just the initial burst.
Interesting.
I can't remember where I heard it from, but I may be completely wrong.
That would make it less cool. But that's what I was thinking. Like, you run into that 2v1 oh shit situation in PvP, and, you drop that one melee, and it, poof, big cloud, whoever's there is disoriented while you get the heck out.
Yeah, I thought it was more like that classic ninja throwing a smoke bomb down at his feet and getting away.
Yeah, like that, right.
Might as well
But
be.
but at the same time, you're not going to be able to disorient people that just kind of come around the corner into the smoke. It seems like it'll be dissipated by then, or dissipating.
Right. Well, any way you cut it, this is going to be cool. I like the direction that this particular.
Definitely gonna change up because it's not like a shoulder charge or something that's just immediately gonna kill you. It's gonna be like it's like in World of Warcraft, if you get sapped, which is like a really long stun that breaks whenever you take damage. It's like that. You're just like, oh, I can't really do anything. I'm gonna get messed up, which is it's a horrible feeling in PvP, but it's great when you're on the other end.
Okay, so passive 1 has Uncanny Archer. Every target tethered increases your armor and recovery stats by 1 until Shadow Shot is recharged next. That's crazy. Reduced time to next Shadow Shot. This is nuts. Passive 1 is nuts.
I wonder if there's a limit.
Like, you mean like 1 per round, or?
I'd assume that your bow can only put so many tethers out, so I would imagine that's what makes the limit.
I've been watching it, and
yeah.
it looks like 2. Like, as much as far as I can tell, it looks like 2. But that might have been, I might have seen one of those other, those explosive arrows. I might have been looking at that. At the same time, I watched a hunter use the Shadow Shot, and then he still had a full bar. So I'm thinking that you get no less than 2, or that was just buggy footage. I don't know why they'd put that in there though.
Anyone else thinking that maybe these new subclasses are a little bit more powerful than the last ones?
Definitely,
Yeah, a little bit.
Definitely.
That's
Definitely.
storyline-based idea, right?
Well, okay,
Yeah,
so
but do you think that they're going to revisit the old ones?
I feel like the old ones do what they do really well. Like when I think about, do I want to just put one blast area out? I will go with my striker. If I want multiple targets, like if I want to walk through multiple targets, like the Blade Dancer does, that's the direction I'm going to go. Like I think that each one of them does something so special and different that there's going to be a need to use those other ones at some point. Like if like we go to the Sunbreaker. What a crazy name for that for that class. You don't put up a shield with Sunbreaker. So I feel like they're trying to get us to want to use these, and they're doing a great job, but I don't feel like these necessarily replace anything that's come before.
See, my problem
I
is
think-
like with Sunsinger, one of the best perks is gain an additional grenade. And you see in the passive 1 tier of this, you have well provisioned, gain an additional grenade, and slightly increased grenade durations. Like there's a bonus to anything that kind of mimics an old passive effect seems to be a little bit better.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I would say that going the direction that they're going, it wouldn't surprise me if in future expansions after the Taken King, we whether they put it into the lore in the actual game or not, we'll see that the other classes get reworked and maybe brought up to kind of the level that these new classes seem to be. Because I definitely agree, these new classes seem to be like the classes we have plus one. They just
on that
seem to be so much better.
On that topic, I think Remy made a good point about how the old ones are still special and unique and applicable in the right situations. They're just the way to go. Like certain situations, you just need a bubble. You know what I mean? It just makes whatever you're doing a million times easier if you have a Titan there who can pop a bubble. So I'm thinking maybe that we're perceiving these, because I originally agreed that maybe I thought these were more powerful, but I think maybe I'm just perceiving it that way because they're giving me new ways to be creative, to try new things, to pull off new crazy stunts. And I'm sure we're going to see 1,000,010 new things that people have found that they can go back into old content and do now because of the abilities of these new classes. So I just think maybe that huge scope of creativity you can see in front of you makes it seem like these are more powerful.
Well, and the best guardians are those who understand the what's in their toolbox and can adapt to that situation. There's definitely times where my little brother who plays the Titan, I wish would just go striker, but he's like, oh no, the bubble is just so useful, and I'm just like, but a lightning grenade right now would kill everything with arc burn, and he just kind of refuses, and to me that while it's frustrating, it's just like you don't quite understand the advantages of having that class right now. And I think that's part of it, is just understanding all the advantages that each class can offer in a given situation.
Exactly.
Agreed.
Exactly. So what do we got? Oh, so okay. Shadow Trapper, second bubble on the skill. Tethers have increased range, duration, and potency. That sounds really useful. Just a bigger version of the shadow shot. And then well provisioned says gain an additional grenade and significantly increase grenade durations. I think that's really awesome. Especially the grenades are the spike grenade, same as Defender Titan, the Void Wall grenade, which was the horizontal wall of burning void light, and then the Void grenade, same as Void Walker Warlock. Second grenade is really a huge thing. Being able to put out a second grenade it really is huge. I don't know if it's huge enough to every target tethered increases your armor and recovery stats by 1. I think that's pretty big, especially when we're talking about. We're talking about like 10 points, right? And is there a cap to that?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. And like you said, it's probably based off of the number of tendrils, which I think the most I've actually seen is 3.
But is there a cap to your armor and recovery stat that if you already have them so high, they won't continue to go higher because of a certain point? That's another valid question as far as how much it will actually help you.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. All right, let's move on to the Sunbreaker.
Alrighty.
Grenades, or the fusion grenade, same as the Sunsinger Warlock. The thermite grenade explosions send a line of fire towards your target, and incendiary grenades, same as Gunslinger Hunter. I think that this is really cool. I like that other grenades are being used in different classes. It makes sense, and it's useful. Sometimes I really do wish I had that grenade from the Hunter, or the Sunsinger Warlock has. Like the fusion grenade is very useful. And then
I actually kind of wish that they were more unique. I kind of like that most of the grenades in every class are unique to them, but I guess that's me disagreeing with you, and I wish we had more unique grenades for all the classes.
We still might.
You think that, but they're not super unique. Like the Void Walkers have the scatter grenade, which is quite similar to the Hunter's one, except the Hunter's one stays in midair. Like, there's a lot of quite similar grenades. They're just slightly different. Let's see. There's
If you think about it, it's like this. Admittedly, hunters learn blink from warlocks. This is kind of the way that the different classes kind of learn from each other, because we're all, part of one group trying to save the city type of thing. It's kind of like a lore thing in my mind.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
And that's really cool. That's really cool. It kind of goes like to the Avatar, The Last Airbender.
Too bad Titans can't blink. Womp womp.
Right? You know what? I was going through the footage frame by frame, and I swear I saw a part where there was like a blink, but it wasn't. It just...
Well,
I think that's the Titan's melee ability when it's supered. Like,
yeah, the sun charge, I was going to say, is very blink-like.
Okay, I will just read it. So there's the standard Titan lift, the increased height. This is all the same. These are all the same as...
The other jumps.
Yeah. Okay, so the super is called the Hammer of Soul. Summon a flaming hammer and wreak destruction upon your enemies. The first upgrade is High Noon. The higher your health, the more hammers you can throw and the bigger their impact. The second upgrade is Sun Charge. Press R1 to hurl yourself forward, crushing enemies that are close, which sounds really cool to me. And then Conflagration, which says Ignite the World, creating sunspots where your Hammer of Soul impacts. And that sounds really excellent as well.
I imagine that's going to be like this, the Warlock solar grenade type effect, wherever it hits.
Right? And the melee is called Sunstrike. Ignite your enemies with a heavy solar strike. The first upgrade is called Melting Point. Burn away your target's defenses. Targets take more damage from both you and your allies, which is really cool. And Fulminator. Your Sunstrike melee releases a solar explosion on hit, igniting enemies within the blast. Kills create a sunspot around you. And then the last upgrade is called Stoke the Forge. Natively reduce the cooldown of your Sunstrike melee. Getting a killing blow with Sunstrike instantly recharges it. Damn it, that is awesome.
Yeah.
Getting a killing blow, because for the most part, I would say that a melee to somebody whose shield is down is a kill, right? Like it's soon, as long as they don't have their shield up, it's a kill. Does anybody disagree with that? Excellent.
Nope.
So that's awesome. Like I oftentimes use the perk on my striker that says sometimes the melee power will instantly recharge, because it's kind of a bonus. I feel like if I'm that close to somebody, there's either one person or there's two or three that I've gone up against, and it's kind of like the lottery. Do I get a second badass hit? No, that's fine.
Something interesting here too. Granted, we don't know what the after effect abilities of the smoke on the hunter we were just looking at is, but the Fulminator here offers another melee with an after effect.
Totally, like almost like a control point. Like you won't want to rush in on this and try and shotgun this person because they have made a barrier there out of your buddy.
I find these interesting.
Definitely very cool. The first passive is called Fleet Fire. Enemies brought down by your fire grant you bonus agility and reload speed for a short time, stacks up to 3 times. So enemies brought down by your fire, is that in relation to the super, or is that in relation to the melee or grenades? Both?
I would say
all?
any of those that make you
I'd
burn.
say it's any fire solar based ability.
That's cool. Stacks 3 times. That's nuts. The second passive slot says Tempering. Grenade and melee abilities cool down significantly faster when Hammer of Soul is fully charged. And that's pretty cool too. I usually sit on my supers. Like there are many times, like whenever I hear someone talk about, oh, well, what about playing Destiny with no supers? I'm like, I'm in on that. Like I think that the main part of Destiny is the dance, is the shooting gun dance, or I mean, at least it should be like it's. Maybe not that it should be, but that it is. You know, how often do you really get to use your super? It's just not enough for me to think that without the supers, this is no longer Destiny. You know, I think that, and so for someone like me who doesn't just run out and use it, this is really cool. Additionally, the third slot says Firekeeper. Hammer of Soul lasts longer, and you gain an overshield while standing near a sunspot. Man, that's cool too. This is another thing, like I was just saying, where you're not going to want to rush in on this guy. He's got an overshield, and you're going to be damaged by this sunspot. I wonder what the size, the field is for that sunspot. Comments.
Awesome.
We're assuming sunspots actually do lingering damage, but has it really said the sunspots do that?
No.
No, we haven't gotten a confirmation on that.
I mean, it makes the most sense, so... I mean,
Yeah.
it's best to think that.
When I first heard of all these perks and stuff on the super, I was like, this is turning the Titan into a mobile tank.
Yeah.
Like, he's just going to go to one spot, defend, go to the next spot, defend. Like, as long as his super's going, he can just move around the stage, especially in like control, and just wail on people and take back points if he needs to.
I mean, it's going to be a crazy ability to just sit there and, like, linking up Conflagration to put down sunspots, Fulminator to put down sunspots, Firekeeper to have more supers, and have Overshield when you're near a sunspot, and then Cauterize to get your health back whenever you kill something with fire. That is crazy. I mean, there's a more crazy ability in the Stormcaller, but we'll get to that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you've got to think of what exotics might come on top of that, you know, just to add to the craziness of the Titan. These exotics that could give you more perks and stuff. It's just, it'll be fun to play.
There's going to be something. There's got to be some crazy exotics for these new supers, and it's going to be fun to play around with.
All right, passive column 2 says Flame Seeker. Your Hammer of Soul will alter its flight to seek out your enemies. Definitely useful. Cauterize. Enemies brought down by your fire regenerate your health. Cool. Wildfire. Enemies brought down by your hammer explode, damaging and catching over nearby enemies on fire. Definitely not as cool as the section for the Night Stalker, but what can you do? Comments.
You can level lots of people with Wildfire. That's what you can do.
It's like a golden gun.
Yeah, it's like a bloom.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. And then finally, we have the Stormcaller. Lightning Grenade is the same spike as Striker Titan. The Storm Grenade, this grenade calls down a localized lightning storm. I'm excited to see that. And Pulse Grenade, same as Striker Titan. The jumps being standard Warlock jumps all across the board. The super is called Storm Trance. Hold R2 to fire arc lightning from your hands. The first upgrade is called Landfall. On casting Storm Trance, fire a bolt of lightning into the ground, creating a devastating shockwave around you, which sounds a lot like the Fist of Havoc. Superconductor doubles your Storm Trance Lightning's chaining abilities, and Electric Glide. While in Storm Trance, L3 teleports you a short distance in the direction you're moving. In the direction you're moving, like that's big. I think that's super cool. Comment.
So,
like a blink.
Well, I was just going to say, does anybody else find it odd? Okay, according to the lore, hunters learn to blink from the warlocks. And we have the warlock that can blink as the Voidwalker, and the Electric Glide lets you teleport. Does anybody else find it odd that Stormcaller doesn't have blink as one of its jumps?
No, because you have Electric Glide.
But that's only while your super is going. I mean, this is the arc-based warlock. Warlocks came up with how to blink according to the lore. I find it weird the Stormcaller doesn't have blink.
Would you really want him to have blink and Electric Glide?
See,
Yeah.
I think the way to look at it is that warlocks learn blink, like searching the void for like their abilities originally, and then learn Sunsinger later. And the hunters learn blink through just being fast. Like there's their blink is probably more to do with speed than to do with actually
Well, the lore
teleporting.
actually says they learned it from the warlocks.
Yeah, but I think like I'm trying to think of phrase it. It's like you learn a recipe for a cake and you change it because you don't have the ingredients. Like
I
that
still
type of
I get you.
slight change because you can't do what they do.
Well,
And
well,
it
to
could be
me,
applied
the
here.
the
Hey,
way
you
that
guys,
that
just keep talking about yourself. I got to go unplug this thing. I'll be right back.
This
the,
thing.
the way that that one jump is described, it seems more like how the Fallen blink and teleport, and that kind of fits the class a little bit more, in my opinion.
What the electric glide?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like a ground based blink. But
it's just like how a Fallen Captain teleports, and that
yeah,
seems
but
to fit an Arc class a little bit more.
I think he's wondering why warlocks aren't learning blink in a manner that hunters did. Like
Right.
this
Like
one doesn't. We could
if
also
they came
look at
up with
it.
it in the first place, you would think that there'd be more warlocks that could blink than anybody because they already knew how to blink to begin with. You would think they would pull that useful ability over to another, like the Stormcaller.
Has there been any talk about which warlock subclass technically came first?
No, why? Is this the chicken and the egg?
No, I'm wondering if like the Voidwalker is like the last one that they've learned.
Well, what's the one
And-
that you start off with?
Well,
You
no,
start out
but
with Voidwalker.
I mean,
There you go.
I mean, lore wise, chronologically,
I think what
that
you were
could be a
saying
clue.
about them pulling their powers from the void was accurate.
because then if this was like the last, if Voidwalker was the last one that we learned as a warlock, then it makes sense that going back to the old style with Stormcaller is blinkless.
These new subclasses could just be the product of one single guardian, and that's why we have to seek these people out. So
In
it may
different
not be as
locations?
widespread, at the time until it's rediscovered by our guardians. So it could just be the mad genius of a single guardian.
I wonder if we're going to seek out popular lore figures.
I hope so.
What popular lore figures?
I hope
Like
so.
Toland
Like
or something?
Toland, yeah, exactly. Like people that we've heard about before or read about in flavor text.
Okay, since
who are
you brought
important
up
to the lore.
Toland, I gotta ask you guys a question. A lot of people have been thinking that the voiceover for the trailer is Toland, but everything I've read about Toland says he went in with Eris to go kill Crota and he died.
Well,
Mhm.
maybe he didn't die. Maybe he stayed on the dreadnought, and
Or maybe he
was
did, and you
taken-
go back in time.
yeah,
Wait, does
and
it
there's-
specifically say he died? Or do we just not know
Well,
what happened?
he was part of the fire team, and Eris was the only one who came out. It's
Right.
assumed that he's dead, but I
I
don't
No,
think
wait,
there's any
Eric's the only one that
evidence.
came out. Doesn't that mean he could still just be in there?
Oh, he
I
went
thought Eris-
deeper and he found Oryx.
I thought Eris said that everyone. in
And
her
then he
fire
put
team
his ass
died.
on a hat, and then he became Oryx. That's how it is. It's like the Dread Pirate Roberts in The Princess Bride. Like you find somebody, you teach them what that's up.
I'm going to have to go in a few minutes here, but I just want to point out, everyone really likes Oryx and think that he looks cool. Everybody agree?
You're not prepared for Oryx.
To me, he looks a lot like the demon from Jeepers Creepers. Like, it looks like he's wearing like a trench coat and got the freaking wings. I mean, the only thing that's really different is his head, but he really reminds me of Jeepers Creepers, and that kind of puts me off a little.
Well, he definitely is ugly.
Yeah, that's for sure.
That's what I have him marked down on in the in my in this frame by frame that I'm doing.
I actually
Ugly, because he is like, oh, this is okay. So this must be his son, and that's okay. So yeah, he is ugly. He is way ugly.
Doesn't that cinematic look great?
Yeah.
That's
See,
the teaser trailer, I think.
In my mind, he looks like Illidan.
Yeah, I was gonna
From
say I like the
World of
Illidan
Warcraft.
comparison a little bit better.
I'll
Well,
link you a
luckily I
picture.
don't play WoW, so I'll go with Jeepers Creepers.
So are you leaving right now, or what do you got?
Here in about 2 minutes or so.
Why don't you give out your shout out before you go?
Bungie, because it was really awesome to watch E3, just kind of anticipating the stuff that they're going to put out to us, and I'm really excited for the Taken King. Not really sure which version I'm going to get. Maybe I'll get a PS4. Who knows? We'll see.
You know, when I first like I broke my phone have on the perfect week because I didn't actually get to see anything until the information came out at E3. So I was really excited about that. I mean, I'm sad that the Titan doesn't roll up like M. Bison from Street Fighter, but he basically does the same thing. You know, he charges in a straight line, straight out. So that's awesome. But until I saw the Vidoc, I was not nearly as hyped as I should have been. But listening to them talk about it, like I don't know what it is that Bungie can do other than put out more Vidocs. But I think it's important for them to keep that level of communication with the community, like us, people who talk about this all the time. Like I want to hear more in their words. Like you know, and that Vidoc provided that for me. Like I watched the preview and I thought, this is cool. You know, like I don't really know what's going on here, but this is cool. And then hearing them talk about it, it was like I was supercharged.
Completely different, right? You can feel that enthusiasm whenever they're talking about their own work, and I really love the Vidocs just because of that.
Right,
all
of them.
I really wish all of them, every single one.
I can go back and watch one from Halo 3, and it's like, oh, I gotta play some Halo 3 now. This is going to be awesome. You know?
It's a lot better than watching a 3-minute gameplay video to have the devs like show their excitement about it too, because you know it increases that hype all around. Their excitement gets you excited, and it just builds.
You know what
or
else
even like those standard interviews too. I would really prefer to see Vidocs. I mean, it's not like I know it's like planned answers and stuff like that, more or less. But I just really love the vibe that you get from anybody who's in a Vidoc talking about their work. It's wonderful.
You know what it is? I think I've pinpointed it. Like now that we've talked about this out loud, I think what it comes down to is frickin' answers. You know, instead of it being like, oh, whoa, what's going on? You know, like here's some video. Like it's answers. Those people said definitively, oh, you know, the Cabal sent out a distress beacon. There's an answer. There's something I can lock onto in my mind that I can point to as I'm playing this game. Oh man, these Cabal have sent out a distress beacon. They need help. Like this is an answer. This is, you know, Urk said this. You know, like and then they started talking about the Taken and how and what's happened to them, pulled from our dimension, changed, and then just dropped into our laps as supercharged enemies. Like these are answers that we are being given. I watched a Luke Smith interview, the one, Jez, that you had said to watch, or that you said every new Luke Smith interview becomes your new favorite Luke Smith interview.
Yeah, like no disrespect to Deej, but I just love to hear Luke talk.
Definitely.
And that just stems from me listening to him on One Up Yours so long ago.
Right. Well, I mean, they've got two different energies. You know, I met Luke in person, and he's exactly like he is in those Vidocs. Like you ask him a question, and he says, "Okay, let me tell you what's going on here." Like he pulls it all the way back and gives you this whole story. And I think that there's really something to that. And Deej's job is to let slip information at the right pace. Like I feel like they've got two different things in front of them. You know. So I don't know.
All right, guys, I'm out.
Right on. Well, Thanks
Not
for
River.
showing up, River.
Yep.
Thanks for hanging
Keep
out.
it going.
Yeah.
Oh, Bell Bunny just showed up in the chat.
I
River.
know.
You gotta say
Bye,
goodnight.
Bell.
All right, excellent. Why don't we move back to let's look at the rest of this.
We're at the melee.
We were at the melee. Okay, so the melee for the Stormcaller is called Thunderstrike. It says deliver an electrocuting melee strike at extended range. I am really curious to know what they think extended range is, because the Warlock already has a pretty good range to his.
The Voidwalker is
Bife had a video out today, and he said that the range on this is farther than Fellwinter's sniper rifle.
Oh wow, that's what
So
I'm
this
talking
is
about.
like just shorter than the throwing knife. Then this is between that and the old Voidwalker melee as far as range goes, I suppose.
And that's cool.
Yeah.
The first upgrade is called Chain Lightning. Your Thunderstrike chains from the struck enemy to another nearby enemy. That's awesome. The next upgrade is called Tempestuous. Your Thunderstrike has greater range, which, what the hell? And then Rising Storm hits with Thunderstrike. Charge your super ability and melee energy. And this is really awesome. Like it really does feel like these new classes are more powerful than those other ones. But I tell you what, if you get hit by a Nova Bomb, you're not worried about Thunderstriking somebody. You're dead. So it's not like this. It's not like it's gone from paper, rock, scissors, and they've thrown out scissors and they put in like a shotgun. Paper, rock, shotgun. Like it's not like, we're not talking about this. We're talking about an almost equal way of dealing with things. Like I feel like, okay, so take for the Sunbreaker, for instance, with the Fist of Havoc, there is a one-time kaboom, a giant kaboom in one area. It's very, very similar to like a rocket. Like you have rockets you can take into matches. You have a machine gun. The machine gun, if used correctly, will last for several enemies. You'll be able to keep those rounds for a long time. Whereas the rocket, you shoot it out and that's it. There's your rocket. I feel like this is the same way with this. Like when you look at the Hammer of Sol, yeah, you can hit multiple enemies with it and you have a chance to be really destructive. But if you get hit with a Fist of Havoc, that's it. So it is super powerful. It could be insanely powerful, but it's still kept in check by these things from the past.
Something interesting to note is that one of Data's points a long time ago is that hunters, both their abilities are kind of a use whenever and then go find your enemy type of thing. Like there was little risk and high reward to the supers. And it seems like this one, or like this expansion or Comet, or whatever you want to call it, they flipped that around and gave both Warlocks and Titans that fire and find your enemies ability.
Right, I watched that video. That was a really great video, and that was the point where I knew that the hunter was way overpowered. Because he showed like, okay, well here I'm activating the Fist of Havoc, and here my time is over with it. But he had, he showed some video where he hit his golden gun, and for a full 6 seconds just walked around the match waiting to find a target. Like this is
it's like a mini cosm of the same heavy machine gun versus rocket launcher effect.
Right.
Like
Absolutely.
rocket launcher is more spiky kills compared to heavy machine gun.
Right. Absolutely. I don't know. Oh, okay. Going back to these times. Where were we? We just did
Passive one.
Okay, so passive 1 says rain check. When revived, you trigger a shockwave, disorienting all nearby enemies. This is cool. Uninsulated, incoming melee attacks shock the attacker. That's really cool. That's like having the that ACDO, right? Like that's what ends up happening if you try and punch one of those Titans.
It seems like it's slightly different. It's more like ACDO does an area of effect shockwave after you get hit. This one only hits the attacker.
Oh, okay. I see
So
that.
it's slightly
Not quite
different.
as good, but similar.
But as just a
Well-
simple dot as a passive skill instead of having to wear a
Yeah.
a
Yeah,
thing.
we also don't know anything like cooldowns and damage compared to ACDO. So
Well, I was just
what
going to
the-
say it could do significantly more damage to that one target since it's not an area of effect thing.
Imagine if it's as much as like a melee attack. So you melee them, they hit you, and they're dead.
Well, something that will be interesting is the chain lightning on a melee attack. I wonder if it has diminishing returns. Because if not, you could get a triple down. And this is what Bife said. You could get triple downs with melees. Like, how crazy would that be to be around the corner from someone, but within enough proximity to get chain lightning from a melee, and you're just like dead.
Does it go past that the second enemy though?
There's a perk on the melee that does chain lightning, and from what Bife said, you could get triple down. So it jumps like at least twice, I'm guessing.
It says
just
going from the struck enemy to another nearby enemy.
Yeah, going by that, it only seems like it hits two people, like your initial target and the nearby dude. But maybe it's just
What if someone
bigger
weak
than
hit
it is.
you at the same time when you had uninsulated on? Then that would be a triple down, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So I
Okay,
haven't had a chance to use the ACD/Os yet. Does this scenario work out? Like if you go into a situation and you're full health, they're full health, you melee them and they melee you, is that enough to kill them?
The damage from ACDO isn't that high.
Okay.
I think it might be like half a melee, if that. Like half a melee's worth of damage. Like half a normal melee's worth of damage. It's really low comparatively.
So it's not enough though to finish off someone that you full strength charged melee'd already.
Right. I think if you hit someone and then they hit you twice, it might put them in danger, but that's probably you're still dead.
Yeah.
you know
Okay.
what's crazy is I saw some footage that Mark put up while from the Guardian radio. I didn't realize those plates moved up and down. Like
yeah.
it was crazy looking seeing that.
If you're on new gen.
Oh, they don't on last gen? That's funny. And then the last one in column 1 is called Perpetual Charge. It says, getting a grenade kill recharges your melee. Getting a melee kill recharges your grenade. This is pretty standard as far as, I mean, not together, but this, one of these shows up on a piece of armor often, which is cool. I'm actually much more interested in the grenade hit doing my fist, just because I'm more likely to hit with a grenade. Like I'm usually like mid to long range player. So it's cool. Looking forward to it. Let's see.
That's the one I thought could be quite powerful in general.
Yeah.
Because just keep switching back and forth. You could rack up the kills just from your melee and your grenade really quickly.
It depends on how much the charge they give you too. So I mean, any
Well-
is not.
I've heard conflicting reports of one being instantly recharges it fully, and this one that just says recharges.
Okay, so passive two, the last line here. It's called Gathering Storm. Storm Trance charges faster when allies are in close proximity. When Storm Trance is active, nearby enemies take perpetual damage. That's crazy. The second one is called Greased Lightning. Enemies damaged by your grenades chain deadly lightning to other nearby enemies. And the last one is called Wellspring. When cast with full grenade and Thunderstrike energy, Storm Trance restores your health to full and drains slower, parentheses, lasts longer. Lots to talk about here, but let's take 1 second to welcome Belle to the podcast. Belle, thank you for joining us.
Oh, it's
Yay,
my
Bilbo.
honor. You know I love joining you guys. Plus, I'll make your show like 5 hours long now.
Right? Absolutely, absolutely. We were closing in on the end, and time to start it all up over again. And so I saw Hegemony on Twitter telling you that you should do an update, letting everybody know what has happened in the, sometimes people get left behind, he says. And you are here to share this now?
I am.
Excellent. Excellent. So, does anybody want to comment on that last line, including you, Belle, or should we just go right into Belle's work so we can get out of here before the 2-hour period?
Well, we can go into bills, but I need to give credit to the Redditor who made that, Son of Seth, on the Reddit. I'm going to put the link in the chat over there. Props to him on making these awesome skill trees for us.
Right now, what you're seeing on the screen is his Destiny post, and it's really awesome. It says he's top 200 comments, show 500. He's got 1,092 upvotes. So yes, thank you very much, Son of Seth. And actually also, you Fuzz Off and you Resixdor, and the More Console team, he changed descriptions and names to match the updated skills on Bungie.net. So it was a group effort started by this Son of Seth. So thank you very much. We used a ton of it. Thank you. All right, Bell Bunny.
Am I just reading this or what am I doing? I was not informed. I was just thrown on the show. So.
Well, if you wanted to share anything in particular,
I don't know.
Right, we definitely have more than enough to talk to for the next 15 minutes or whatever else we got. So
that's entirely.
You guys let me know exactly what you want me to do. This is your show. I'm just here.
What's most interesting to you? Like there's so much more. I have way more than 15 minutes of stuff to say about Destiny at this point.
Right.
I mean, we just went over all of the different skill trees as they are presented to us right now. And so, what's most interesting to you? Like what is it that's stuck out to you that you're like, oh my god, this is amazing?
Well, okay. First of all, I got 2 things. I guess they're probably my biggest ones. The biggest one for me is the fact that there's such an emphasis made in a lot of their interviews, like not trailer, obviously, but the actual interviews, about how they're going to really focus on story via characters, because they've realized how much we've loved the characters. They really like the response that we gave to Petra and Barracks, and so I'm really excited to see who they throw in, especially because I seriously want to know who the heck the narrator is of the trailer. I have my own theory. I'm probably wrong, but I hope it's Tolan, because I think that'd be epic. But
You heard James Earl Jones in there, yeah? That has to be him, right? Everybody's in agreement that was Darth Vader. You took my son, right? Does anybody disagree?
Yeah, I do.
You do disagree? Who do you think it is, Jess?
Well, considering this is you killed his son, it's more likely to be Obi-Wan. Jeez.
Let's see. You know what? I will put it up right now. Audio House of Wolves play.
I mean, I don't think we've heard this voice before.
Listen to this.
You took my son.
Now that's a cross between Mufasa and Darth Vader, if I ever heard such a thing. Right? Like let's listen to it just one more time. And he does say, "You took my son," right?
I thought you were talking about the narrator of the trailer.
Oh no, yeah. I'm just talking about this.
You took my son.
I don't know. It just seems to really line up. People want to talk about, turning to the dark side. Well, you took my son. I think that's James Earl Jones. It could be somebody who is really good at voicing. Much like D. Bradley Baker, the guy who did Varix. That guy is in everything. That guy does everything everywhere.
It could even be the voice actor that's Kratos.
I've never played that. I've never played the I've never played.
Just search Kratos voices later.
Will do. So yeah, I totally agree with you, Bell. And you know where this stemmed from for me to see these to see these characters in action was that I really wanted to know if Shax and what's his face, the Salamander, whatever his name is. What is it? I don't spend enough. Yeah, Saladin. I don't spend enough time on his side of the tower to
Salamander.
pay much attention to that. But like, what I wanted to know was if these guys, like, what did they feel towards each other? Like, are they friends? You know, do they even talk?
I love how every show I'm on with you guys, this topic comes up for you every single time.
Well, I mean,
I think in the lore, they're rivals, but respected rivals.
Well, not only that, but one of them taught the other one. There's
Saladin's
so
like
much
200 years old or something.
Right, there's so much rich lore that's just hidden that they could just put into a cutscene and it would be out there for people to know. You know, like it's not something that's going to make whether or not I shoot these aliens. It's not going to change that. But when I go to the tower and I see this guy, you know, like, who are his friends? You know, like faculty at a high school or something. You know, like, who's friends with the coach? Who's not friends with the coach? You know? But yeah, so this is it's going to be cool. I'm really looking forward to that as well.
If the speaker is the coach, we know that Osiris is not friends with the coach.
Right? Osiris is talking smack.
So, talking about story and what Bell was talking about, there was a Polygon article that we could hit right now that kind of hits that, and I could go over it really quick. So this Polygon article, it's entitled "Hands On with Destiny: The Taken King and Bungie's Return to Its Halo Roots." And this article was really just about story. So here's a couple of paragraphs I want to read. This contrasts that with Bungie's former franchise Halo. There were very few narrative dumps. The story would unfold as you walked through a level, often told by Cortana, Master Chief's faithful AI companion. Even when she narrated the bite-sized chunks, there was a sense of unfolding narrative and mystery. And while we did kind of get that through the original Destiny campaign, you know, our ghost was fairly cryptic, I felt, in a lot of things, and this is a kind of the contrast, and then I'll open it up. But it says, the Taken King's campaign begins with a loading screen, but Dinklage's ghost is nowhere to be heard. The tiny white text doesn't fill the bottom of the screen. Instead, it's just a pretty spaceship flying through hyperspace. When you land, the story begins, and Commander Zavala serves as the narrator. It's not confusing, and it's not filled with jargon. It's about the mission at hand, the thing that you're headed toward. My character, the bow and arrow-wielding Night Stalker, even spoke back to Zavala. There was actual meaningful reaction, and when she said she was confirming to him, he responded with the appropriate amount of confusion. What she said was confusing to him. He responded with the appropriate amount of confusion. He gave me a voice. And this right here seems to me to be like just a revival of story. You know, in the Dark Below and in House of Wolves, your Guardian, I don't think, has a single line. And being able to have your Guardian speak again from the very first mission, but have it within the mission and not in a cutscene, I think will definitely tell a story better and make us feel a little bit more invested in what's going on.
Isn't it a little weird that the hunter talks to Zavala for the hunter subclass? Like, you'd think you'd be talking to Cade.
Yeah.
It could be Commander Zavala that sends you, though. I mean, you get sent on missions or patrols all the time from other people.
That's the thing, but when you're tracking down the source of a long-lost hunter power, you'd think it'd be coming from a hunter.
Oh no,
Like,
this is the very
member,
first. This is the very first story mission. It's not like your quest to get your super. It's the introductory mission where you go to Phobos.
I think it just messed me up where he said arrow wielding Night Stalker, despite the fact that it's just a hunter. Okay, never mind. Sorry. Ignore me.
So is that what you're most excited about, Crimson? That there's going to be this deeper story with your Guardian? Because I definitely agree with that. That's definitely a very interesting look at it. You know, like I really need this. I need some answers. Like I understand that you can't give any to me at all, but telling me that you don't have time to explain why you don't have time to explain is like, I don't know. Like I feel like, well, when are you? When is it going to be time? Like because by my count, we're already extra screwed. Like vanilla Destiny was when the time was to explain to me what's going on. Not when Oryx shows up with this army of Taken. You know, like now is definitely not the time to explain it to me.
See, I think the original story would have been great if everything that you learned was tied together much closer. Like everything seemed to be a little bit disconnected, and that doesn't really make for a solid story.
Well, and Remy, like you can explain this better, but since I've never really played a Halo game, I mean, was the way that the original Halo story, the way that it unfolded, was it compelling to you, or was it just like, oh, I'm just in another first person shooter and I have to shoot up a bunch more aliens again?
You know, it never felt like I was lost. Like I would put the game down and I'd pick up the checkpoint, and then it just seemed like there was always somewhere for me to go and some reason, like they were saying, Cortana would explain to you where to go next or like what was going on, and so it felt more cinematic in the sense that I was never wondering what was going on. You know, like I was always aware of where to go next, and with the openness of Destiny, you don't have as much room for that. But I think that it's still a necessary component. I think that drives a lot. You know,
I think there was a lot in Halo that, from what I remember, like there was a lot more storyline from like the alien side of things too. Like you got to see everything through. I forget the names and things. Was it like the Arbiter? Was that his name?
Yeah, Arby.
Well, that's Halo 2 after they learned from Halo 1. Like,
right.
Halo
Well, that's
1
what I was saying.
seemed
Like
to be
continuing
more.
in that, like there was a lot more depth because of that type of storytelling. Whereas I feel like Destiny tends to tell very one-sided stories.
Yeah, kind of. You'll never see a cutscene that doesn't involve your Guardian.
We are rapidly heading to the end of this episode. Agrios, what are you most excited about?
I'm a gear nut, so I'm excited about the new possibilities with the new armor and weapons. There's a lot of interesting designs out there. We'll have a lot of fun exploring the new weapon foundries and the cities and the things they're putting out, and like even the faction items. Your class items now appear to be reforgeable and provide a number of abilities. So I'm interested in the new potential loadouts, and there's that new artifact slot on your armor side now. This is artifacts equipable at level 30. What's that about?
That's cool.
Gear. Yeah, I'm excited about gear.
That's really cool. I wonder if you have to take that off before taking off your armor to go sub 30, you know?
Well, the main level might be 30.
I know, but like, say that you wanted to, say I wanted to upgrade, I wanted to put a bounty on this green pair of jeans that I got so I can break it down and have a possible double amount of materials. Like, do I have to take that off before I take off my armor? Does that lock my armor on? Or does it automatically pop off as soon as I change to level that up?
Well, I mean, you might go out in the world and gather experience and level your Guardian to 30, and then your light level goes past that. Like, 30 might be the cap for actual level.
Interesting. What about you, Jez? What is most exciting to you?
I had it in my head, just 1 second. Probably the scout rifle, because I finally have an exotic scout rifle, and they've announced it, so they can't go back on their word now.
That's funny.
Here's hoping it's a high-impact scout rifle that gains airborne, like the extra damage while in the air. So you're bunny hopping.
Got it. Cup of Robots TV says Bungie confirmed personal houses you can decorate with microtransactions. And you know what, Cup of Robots TV? I wish. I want a personal house. I will decorate it with microtransactions. I'll do it.
$10 for a fireplace.
Right, $10 for a fireplace that I can put maybe Oryx's ass hat, right over the mantle.
It would be interesting to be able to show your accolades, like even just to yourself.
Absolutely, right? Or like in Phantasy Star, like you could invite somebody into your apartment and there you had your different decorations. It was the same door. Everybody went through the same door, but you selected yours or one of your friends' houses from that door. Like it was a space saving. That's what I think is behind that door is like our apartments. And I really want to see it. But yeah, so this is it. This is the end of the episode. We got to go. Bunny, I really wish that we had more time. It's always great having you. I really thought that this 15 minutes was going to go a bit slower, but it's always great to have you here. What is your shout out, Bell Bunny?
My shout out is to Luke Smith. Thank you for coming up with the funniest line I think that came out of E3 about wearing Oryx as an ass hat.
Right, I can't believe that they even did that. Cannot believe that they even left that in there. Like,
it was amazing.
Going back and watching it in slow motion, like I was looking for a funny screen grab. You see Luke Smith look off to the side, like I don't even know. Right? And not only am I going to get in trouble, but I bet you're not going to put this in there.
Oh, I love how they edited the music out from under it too. It's like a super awkward moment because of that. Real quick, I really a more sensitive shout out I want to give is to the whole community because I put out my first YouTube video the other day and the response was amazingly kind and I appreciate that so much. You guys are so amazing. So yeah.
Right, it was a really cool video and I think that you're going to find success really in whatever you do. So
you're too nice.
Let's see, Agrios, shout out.
Shout out to all the community members and all the Bungie members pulling long hours at E3 to give us all the awesome info, not just about Destiny, but all the games that I've seen that were awesome over the past few days. Shout out to all of them putting in those hours and putting out all that information. And also shout out to Bungie for confirming that all Destiny PS exclusive content will become available for Xbox owners on day one of the Taken King, including Hawkmoon and
Did they announce that?
Stuff.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's confirmed. So excellent. Shout out to them for ending that horribleness.
Excellent. Jez.
And starting a new horribleness with the new stuff.
The next one, yeah.
Shout out to Bell Bunny stole my shout out, so I'm still gonna do Smith. So I can't wait to see what he has planned for our next X-Men content.
Agreed. Very much agreed. Crimson Warlock.
You know what? My shout out is to Sony and Microsoft, Ubisoft, everyone who did great shows this year for E3. They were all awesome. And you know what? We're all going to get great games. And so, thanks for supplying us with a fun hobby for all of us.
I like that. I like that a lot. And my shout out is to Sharks 3D Man. I miss you. I haven't seen you basically since House of Wolves dropped, and it's cool to cycle in other people from Guardian 1. I love playing with everybody, regardless of what banner they're flying. I miss you, Sharks. You've really helped me get in as far in Destiny as I have been, and without you there, I feel this void, and not the good kind, not the kind that you throw at the enemy. I feel like. I don't know. Come back and play some Destiny in the middle of the night. I know you got things to do way early, but I don't care about that. That's not my homeboy. What you have to do is not my homeboy. Come back and play some Destiny. So with that, that wraps up episode 45. I would like to thank everyone listening for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you have any questions or suggestions for topics to be discussed on the show, please leave them in the comments below or send them to feedback@guardian1.net, and we will see you next week.
Later.